Now let's take a look at how to calculate a chi-square test using StatCrunch. So we're going to focus here on our counts column for the moment. So we're going to click Stat, Goodness of Fit, which despite being an oddly named thing is the way that we're testing to see if all our observed values have a good fit to the null distribution. Click on chi-square test. We can have our observed in a column, so we're going to put that as count. So these are the counts that we actually observed. For our first test, we're going to use all cells in equal proportion. We click compute, and it's going to show us this nice little table of observed and expected values. So here we have 14 observed values, and we expected 9, just like we saw in our previous example when we worked this by hand. This gives us our chi-square statistic, which remember is just observed minus expected squared divided by expected, and then adding those all up. It tells us our degrees of freedom and gives us the p-value that we calculated before. In addition, we can use a different null hypothesis. So this null hypothesis that we're testing is, do these values match a flat distribution? However, the Mars company has actually come out and said they don't shoot for an flat distribution. Rather, they have an expected count, which I'm giving you in the Mars column here. So they are shooting for 24% blue, 14% brown, 16% green, 20% orange, 13% red, and 14% yellow. So if we put our expected into that column, so this is telling us that that's the distribution we expect to get. We click compute. Now, instead of getting expected values of 9 for everything, we get expected values that differ for each of these counts. This is much more similar to what you would do in a real data situation. Rarely, if ever, are you going to be expecting a perfectly uniform distribution. Now I want to make a few points here. One is this p-value is very large. However, remember, we cannot accept the null hypothesis. Our p-value is also very large when we use a flat distribution.